The United Kingdom, once a beacon of economic stability, now finds itself in unprecedented turmoil. In September 2022, the government announced £45 billion in tax cuts, the largest in 50 years. This decision, made without a clear funding plan, triggered a chain reaction that sent shockwaves through global financial markets. What led to this audacious gamble? And why exactly did it backfire so spectacularly? Well, in a way, it was the perfect storm. The United Kingdom's current economic crisis is the result of a perfect storm, combining internal policy missteps with unprecedented external pressures. To understand the depth of the challenge, we must first examine the internal factors that have contributed to the nation's economic fragility. Government mismanagement and inconsistent policy decisions have played a significant role in exacerbating the UK's economic woes. The implementation of austerity measures following the 2008 financial crisis, while aimed at reducing the budget deficit, had the unintended consequence of suppressing economic growth and investment in critical infrastructure. This approach left the UK economy ill-prepared to face future shocks. Moreover, the uncertainty surrounding Brexit negotiations and the subsequent trade deal with the European Union has had a profound impact on business confidence and investment. The protracted nature of these negotiations created an environment of unpredictability, leading many firms to delay expansion plans or relocate operations outside the UK. And while these internal factors have weakened the UK's economic foundation, external pressures have compounded the crisis. The global cost of living crisis, fueled by supply chain disruptions and inflationary pressures, has hit the UK particularly hard. Energy prices have soared, driven in part by the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, which has disrupted global energy markets and led to increased costs for both businesses and consumers. The war in Ukraine has had far-reaching consequences beyond energy prices, affecting food security and further straining already stretched supply chains. These external shocks have exposed the vulnerabilities in the UK's economy, highlighting the interconnected nature of global markets and the nation's dependence on international trade. The severity of the UK's economic distress is evident in key statistical indicators. Inflation has reached a staggering 9.9%, the highest rate in 40 years. This rapid increase in prices has outpaced wage growth, leading to a significant erosion of purchasing power for British households. The impact has been felt across all sectors of society, with essential goods and services becoming increasingly unaffordable for many. And perhaps even more concerning is the 0.4% contraction in GDP compared to pre-pandemic levels. This figure is particularly alarming when viewed in the context of other major economies. While nations such as the United States, France, and Germany have managed to surpass their pre-pandemic economic output, the United Kingdom remains the only G7 country yet to fully recover. This underperformance becomes even more stark when comparing the UK's economic recovery to its peers. The International Monetary Fund projects that the UK will have the lowest growth rate among G7 nations in 2023, forecasting a mere 0.3% expansion. This sluggish growth stands in sharp contrast to the projected 1.4% growth for the Eurozone and 1.6% for the United States. The tax cut gamble. The UK government's ambitious $45 billion tax cut plan, announced on September 23, 2022, represents a significant gamble in the face of mounting economic pressures. This unprecedented fiscal intervention, the largest in half a century, aims to stimulate growth and revitalize the British economy. But here's the thing. Its implementation has sparked intense debate and raised concerns about its potential consequences. At the heart of this economic strategy lies a series of tax reductions designed to benefit both high earners and corporations. The plan includes the abolition of the 45% top rate of income tax, a reduction in the basic rate from 20% to 19%, and the cancellation of a planned increase in corporation tax. These measures are intended to increase disposable income and encourage business investment, theoretically leading to economic expansion, the emphasis being on theoretically. The government's stated goal is to achieve an ambitious 2.5% annual growth rate, a target that Chancellor Kwasi Kwarteng believes will generate increased tax revenue and ultimately provide more funds for public services. This growth-centric approach represents a significant shift in economic policy, prioritizing rapid expansion over immediate fiscal balance. However, this target is set against a backdrop of soaring inflation and a cost-of-living crisis, raising questions about its feasibility and potential impact on economic stability. The UK's current inflation rate of 9.9%, a 40-year high, presents a significant challenge to achieving sustainable growth without exacerbating price pressures. One of the most contentious aspects of the tax cut plan is the lack of independent analysis from the Office for Budget Responsibility, or OBR. This omission has raised significant concerns about the plan's feasibility and its potential impact on public finances. The absence of OBR scrutiny has left many economists and market observers questioning the rigorous underpinning of the government's projections and assumptions. The decision to fund these tax cuts through increased borrowing has further intensified scrutiny of the government's fiscal responsibility. With the UK's public debt already at significant levels, this approach risks exacerbating the nation's financial vulnerabilities. The reliance on borrowing to finance tax cuts, particularly during a period of rising interest rates, could lead to unsustainable debt levels and potentially compromise the UK's long-term economic stability. In response to growing concerns, Chancellor Kwarteng has committed to releasing an independent analysis of the economic plan by the end of October. This forthcoming report is seen as crucial for restoring market confidence and providing clarity on how the tax cuts will be funded. However, the delay in presenting this analysis has already contributed to market volatility and investor uncertainty. The International Monetary Fund, or IMF, has expressed strong reservations about the UK's tax cut strategy. In an unusually direct statement, the IMF criticized the plan, warning that it could increase inequality and undermine fiscal stability. The IMF's intervention highlights the global concern surrounding the UK's economic approach and its potential ripple effects on the international financial system. The IMF's critique focuses on two key issues. Firstly, it argues that the tax cuts disproportionately benefit high-income earners, potentially exacerbating economic inequality at a time when many households are struggling with rising living costs. Secondly, the IMF warns that the plan may work at cross purposes with monetary policy, as the Bank of England raises interest rates to combat inflation. The immediate market reaction to the tax cut announcement was swift and severe. The value of the pound plummeted, reaching a historic low against the US dollar. This dramatic currency devaluation reflects a loss of investor confidence in the UK's economic management and raises concerns about imported inflation as the cost of goods from abroad increases. But now, we need to talk about intervention and its limits. As the UK's economic crisis deepened following the announcement of the £45 billion tax cut plan, the Bank of England found itself compelled to take extraordinary measures. On September 28, 2022, the central bank announced an emergency intervention, committing to purchase up to £65 billion in government bonds over a 2-week period. This unprecedented move was designed to stabilize financial markets and prevent a potential collapse of pension funds, which had been severely impacted by the sudden spike in gilt yields. Now, the rationale behind this decision was multifaceted. Firstly, the bank sought to restore order to the gilt market, where long-dated UK government bonds had experienced a sharp sell-off. This sell-off had triggered a vicious cycle of forced selling by pension funds, threatening the stability of the entire financial system. By stepping in as a buyer of last resort, the Bank of England aimed to break this cycle and provide a much-needed liquidity lifeline to the market. The immediate impact of the intervention was palpable. Gilt yields, which had surged to their highest levels in years, began to retreat. The pound, which had plummeted to historic lows against the dollar, showed signs of stabilization. These initial positive reactions suggested that the bank's intervention had succeeded in averting an imminent financial crisis. However, the Bank of England's actions extended beyond this emergency bond buying program. In response to soaring inflation, which had reached a 40-year high of 9.9%, the central bank had already embarked on a series of interest rate hikes. By September 2022, the base rate had been raised to 1.5%, with further increases anticipated. This monetary tightening represents a delicate balancing act, as the bank attempts to curb inflation without stifling economic growth, which isn't easy to do. The impact of these interest rate hikes on households, particularly those with variable rate mortgages, is significant. As borrowing costs rise, many homeowners face the prospect of substantially higher monthly payments. This increase in housing costs, coupled with broader inflationary pressures, threatens to squeeze household budgets and potentially dampen consumer spending, a crucial driver of economic growth. While the Bank of England's interventions have provided short-term stability, they also highlight the limitations of monetary policy in addressing the underlying economic issues facing the UK. The emergency bond buying program, while effective in calming markets, doesn't address the fundamental concerns about the sustainability of the government's fiscal plans. Similarly, while interest rate hikes may help to control inflation, they do little to address structural economic challenges such as low productivity growth and regional economic disparities. Moreover, the necessity of these interventions raises questions about the coherence of the UK's overall economic strategy. The apparent conflict between the government's expansionary fiscal policy and the Bank of England's contradictory monetary policy creates a confusing economic landscape. This lack of coordination between fiscal and monetary authorities risks undermining investor confidence and complicating the path to sustainable economic recovery. The long-term effectiveness of these measures remains uncertain. While they have succeeded in averting an immediate crisis, they do not provide a comprehensive solution to the UK's economic challenges. The emergency bond buying program in particular is a temporary measure designed to provide breathing space rather than a long-term fix. As Bank of England Governor Andrew Bailey noted, the intervention was intended to be temporary and targeted, emphasizing its limited scope and duration. The UK's economic challenges extend far beyond the recent tax cut controversy, revealing deep-seated structural issues that have plagued the nation for decades. At the heart of these problems lies the UK's position as the lowest productivity growth nation among G7 countries, a startling statistic that underscores the magnitude of the country's economic predicament. This productivity crisis is not a recent development, but rather the result of years of underinvestment in technology and infrastructure. Despite being the first nation to industrialize, the UK's failed to maintain its competitive edge in the global economy. The country's reluctance to embrace automation and technological advancements has left it trailing behind its G7 counterparts. For instance, the UK has one of the lowest robot densities in manufacturing among G7 nations, a clear indicator of its technological lag. This underinvestment has not only stunted productivity growth, but also hampered the country's ability to compete effectively in high-value industries. The UK's economic landscape is further complicated by the phenomenon of a two-speed economy. This term refers to the stark disparity between London, a global financial hub, and the rest of the country. While London continues to attract wealth and investment, many other regions of the UK have experienced prolonged economic decline. This concentration of economic activity in the capital has led to significant regional inequalities, with areas outside London struggling with lower wages, fewer job opportunities, and reduced access to essential services. This regional disparity is not merely a matter of uneven development. It represents a fundamental weakness in the UK's economic structure. The focus on London as the primary engine of growth has resulted in an economy that fails to harness the full potential of its workforce and resources across the nation. Addressing this imbalance is crucial for achieving sustainable, inclusive growth that benefits all regions of the UK. Another critical factor contributing to the UK's economic struggles is its over-reliance on the financial sector. While London's status as a global financial center has brought significant wealth to the city, it's also led to a neglect of other vital sectors, particularly manufacturing and innovation. This imbalance in the economy has left the UK vulnerable to financial shocks and has limited its ability to generate broad-based economic growth. The dominance of the financial sector has not translated into broader economic benefits for the country, particularly outside of London. The focus on finance has come at the expense of investment in productive industries that could provide stable, well-paying jobs across the country. This lack of diversification in the economy has contributed to the UK's productivity problems and has exacerbated regional inequalities. The UK is also grappling with a severe labor market crisis, characterized by significant workforce shortages and rising costs that threaten the viability of many businesses. The situation has become so dire that more than 1 in 5 companies with sales over £1 million could face insolvency due to high energy costs alone. This labor shortage is not merely a temporary issue, but a symptom of a deeper structural problem in the UK economy, including skills mismatches, an aging workforce, and the impact of Brexit on labor mobility. So how can the UK chart a path forward? UK economic problems require a comprehensive and innovative recovery strategy. We can outline alternative economic measures that could lead the country to sustainable growth and prosperity by learning from other nations' successes. Technology and infrastructure investments are essential to solving the UK's productivity crisis. Germany and Japan have shown how automation and advanced manufacturing can transform economies. UK manufacturing robot density is far below G7 averages. Incentivizing technology and automation could boost industry productivity. Equally important is digital infrastructure investment. Estonia's e-government initiatives streamline public services and create a thriving tech ecosystem. UK economic growth and innovation, especially outside London, could be spurred by nationwide high-speed internet access and digital skills training. Infrastructure investment must go beyond digital. South Korea's high-speed rail success shows the economic benefits of efficient transportation systems. Targeted infrastructure projects could reduce regional inequality by connecting economic hubs and underserved areas, promoting balanced national growth. The UK economy needs to diversify beyond finance for long-term stability and growth. Germany's Mittelstand of small and medium-sized businesses illustrates a strong, diverse economy. Supporting SMEs in manufacturing, technology, and other high-value sectors could strengthen the economy. Innovation should drive economic strategy. Israel's government support and industry-academia partnerships have created a thriving startup ecosystem, providing lessons. Innovation hubs across the UK, along with increased R&D funding and tax incentives for innovative businesses, could boost new and existing industries. The labor market crisis requires multifaceted solutions. Skills Future, Singapore's lifelong learning and career development program, is a workforce development model. Similar programs in the UK could improve labor market flexibility and skills gaps. Providing energy-efficient upgrades and temporary subsidies to businesses facing rising costs could prevent widespread insolvencies and job losses. These strategies could significantly affect economic indicators if implemented properly. Productivity and innovation could boost GDP growth to the government's 2.5% goal. Diversification and investment in high-value sectors could reduce unemployment and inflation by addressing supply-side constraints and creating quality jobs. Regional inequalities can be addressed through targeted investment and local industry support, which could balance national growth. This approach has economic, social, and political benefits, potentially easing tensions over perceived regional neglect. If you like our series of videos on the UK's current situation, please feel free to hit the like button and let us know in the comment section which aspect of life in the UK you want us to cover next. Till then, click on the top left of your screen where you can find our documentary, How Canada is Going to Dominate the Arctic Region and Why Russia is So Worried About It.